Today, we're taking a look inside a secretive and frankly revolutionary AI system that is fundamentally changing how military targets are selected. It's a system called the Gospel, and it represents a massive leap into the future of warfare. 100. Just let that number sink in for a moment. 100 new bombing targets generated every single day. That's the reported output of this AI, and it's a figure that hints at a complete transformation of military operations. And to really get a sense of the scale here, look at this comparison. Before AI, you'd have human intelligence officers working hard to produce maybe 50 targets over an entire year. Now, with the Gospel, we're talking about a jump from 50 a year to 100 a day. This isn't just a small step up, it's a whole different ballgame. So why? Why build a machine this powerful? Well, it was designed to solve a very specific and persistent problem the Israeli military kept running into. You see, in past conflicts, the Israeli Air Force would often burn through its list of high-value targets pretty quickly. Senior commanders would go into hiding, operations would slow down, and it created this strategic bottleneck. They were literally facing a target shortage, and they needed a way to keep the momentum going. So the answer to that bottleneck was technological. Israel developed an AI-powered solution with one main goal in mind: to create a never-ending stream of new targets, to make sure the military machine, so to speak, never ran out of things to do. And the system at the heart of this is called Hapsora, or the Gospel in English. At its core, it's basically a recommendation engine. It chews through unbelievable amounts of data to suggest physical places, buildings, homes, other structures, that it flags as potential military targets. But here's the thing. The Gospel doesn't work alone. It's actually part of a much larger, interconnected AI ecosystem. So while the Gospel finds the buildings, another AI called Lavender identifies the individual people. Then, a system, reportedly named Where's Daddy, tracks those people to their homes. And finally, an AI called Fire Factory handles all the logistics, calculating the right bombs to use and assigning the aircraft for the strike. It's basically an automated assembly line built for speed from start to finish. So how does this all actually work? I mean, how do you get from a sea of raw data to a final recommendation for a strike? Well, it all starts with the system just inhaling a torrent of information. We're talking about everything you can imagine: drone footage, intercepted phone calls, wide area surveillance data. It even monitors movement and behavior patterns. It's designed to connect dots in this massive pile of data that a single human analyst, or even a team of them, could never hope to process. Now, the way it does this is through something called supervised machine learning. The easiest way to think about it is that humans train the AI. They show it tons of examples of what a confirmed target looks like. The AI learns the patterns and the characteristics of those targets, and then it scans all the new incoming data and flags anything that looks similar. It's all about matching patterns based on probability. It's not thinking like a person. Officially, there's a very clear process that's supposed to keep a human firmly in control. First, the AI makes its recommendation. But then, and this is the crucial part, step 2, a human analyst is required to independently check that recommendation. Only after that human says, yes, this checks out, does the target go up the chain to a commander for the final green light. So, in theory, the machine suggests, but the human decides. But deploying this kind of technology at such a massive scale has had some really profound consequences. It's changing not just the speed of war, but the very nature of it. This quote from an anonymous source who's apparently familiar with the system really cuts to the heart of it. The new capability created a new incentive. You have to feed the machine. The goal became generating a huge volume of targets, creating what some insiders have chillingly called a mass assassination factory. And this had very real effects on strategy. When you have a nearly endless supply of targets, the definition of what's considered a legitimate target starts to expand. One of the biggest shifts was the decision to target the private homes of even junior-level operatives, something that sources say just wasn't standard practice in the past. And this brings us right to the central and very heated debate around AI in warfare, the role of the so-called human in the loop, and whether that role is even meaningful when you pair a person with such a powerful machine. Okay, so the official position from the IDF is clear. They say the goal is for a human analyst to do their own full, independent identification that results in a complete match with what the AI recommended. This frames the AI as just a helpful tool, something that assists but never replaces human judgment. But experts raise a huge red flag here, pointing to a well-known psychological issue called automation bias. Dr. Marta Bahoui explains that when a system is this fast and this effective, humans can start to trust it too much. They might just accept the machine's recommendation at face value instead of really challenging it, especially when they're under pressure to move quickly. And Richard Moyes from the organization Article 36 takes the concern a step further. The fear is that the human analyst stops being a critical check on the system and instead just becomes a rubber stamp, a simple cog in a mechanized process. And in a system like that, the ability to do a meaningful ethical review, to really think about the risk to civilians, could get completely eroded by the sheer speed and volume of it all. And so we are left with this profound and deeply unsettling question for our new era of warfare. When a decision to strike comes from this partnership between a human and an algorithm, who is ultimately responsible for what happens next? Is it the analyst who approved it? The commander who gave the final order? The programmers who wrote the code? This question of accountability is one we're only just beginning to grapple with.